This channel supports St. Jude's Research Hospital for Children and is a part of their Play Live charity drive. For more information on how to join as well as how to donate, please head to the description and click the link at the top of it. Remember, any and all support is appreciated, so feel free to give and support in any way you can. Thank you for your participation.
What up, everybody? This your boy Blak Magus, and I guess doing some end of the year Redskins stuff is therapeutic. It lets me get some things off my mind and just purge from the season. I already did the Kirk Cousins video. I guess the next biggest topic, as far as individual videos is concerned, is Josh Norman. So we made this big splash in the offseason by signing him for $75 million, guaranteeing 50 million, I believe, of that contract to this guy who was considered the top cornerback in the league when he went into the free agency market. Now, funny thing is, when Carolina did what they did to him, for me, that might have been a red flag. And it was something that I noticed. And when we ran in and scooped him up, I was very, very concerned. And it's funny because friends of mine were like, yo, you're not happy with that? And I'm like, no, you just gave him 50 million guaranteed. You just put down a lot of money for a team that generally has salary cap issues and has other free agency concerns heading into the next season. In particular, um, they got to figure out what money they're going to give their quarterback if they're going to keep him at all. And more importantly, to me at least, was the fact that you have two dynamic wide receivers that you got to figure out who you're going to keep. Are you going to keep both? One, I think both should be kept. I think both are worth being paid, as they are two key pieces to why we think Kirk Cousins is actually a top quarterback. I shouldn't say we. I don't think he's a top quarterback, but all these experts swear up and down this guy is just right there, up and coming elite quarterback. Um, and a lot of his success has to do with he has some great tools who make great catches, make great plays. Again, as I stated in previous videos, see the Pierre Garcon play before that touchdown that had tied the game against the Giants, where if he doesn't break those tackles and outrun those defenders, that 3rd and 17 play ends at about the 10-yard line. We kick a field goal and hopefully make it, and we're still down 10-6. So yeah, there's something to be said about having a tight end who, when he's healthy, Jordan Reed is almost as good as um, any receiver out there. That guy makes great runs after catches. He's very difficult for linebackers to defend, and even some corners and safeties can't stay with him and stop him from making catches. He makes incredible catches. Great athlete. Again, Garcon, Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson has always been a great dynamic downfield receiver. Pierre Garcon, he runs great routes. He makes great catches. And he's able to make moves after the catch. Even going down to people like Crowder, who had improved this year as a receiver. Ryan Grant, who is a pretty decent receiver, probably would be higher up in a lot of teams' depth chart if we didn't have the receivers that we had. Uh, he has great pieces. Vernon Davis, even though he's on the tail end of his career, helped add to Kirk Cousins' success. So, yeah, I don't know how this has ended up being about Kirk Cousins again, but it ended up. And sorry, this is about Josh Norman, who again we signed for 75 million. Brought him in, supposed to be this elite shutdown corner. That's what everybody was saying. Like we have some guy who could shut down the other half of the field, and we don't have to worry about that. Now, the reservations that I had, of course, were the same reservations a lot of people had. Uh, is he really a shutdown corner? He's played zone coverage for pretty much all his career. He's not necessarily been always matched up on the best receiver, but when he has, he's done a good job. He never moved from his side of the field. Um, to be fair, in Carolina, he stayed on one side of the field. He covered that side of the field, and they played him to his strengths. So, was he a shutdown corner? Is he a $75 million corner? I didn't feel like we should have spent that money on him. I felt like we should have gotten a lot of pieces and put them in place, built depth. But they figured if we get this guy, he takes care of one half of the field, and that lets people like Breland grow, and that lets us not have to worry so much about, I guess, signing a bunch of corners and hoping that we can have a good secondary by committee. Maybe, I don't know. Um, well, the results are in, season's over, and he did an okay job. I'm not going to sit here and say that this guy didn't have a good season. He pretty solid for the most part. My thing is, he didn't prove that he was worth the 75 million or the 50 million guaranteed. He proved that he is a good corner. I don't know about elite corner. Thing is, after that Pittsburgh game where people complained about him just playing to one side of the field and how Antonio Brown just pretty much ran rampant on the Redskins, they started to make him move around and cover the best receiver. And as the season went on, we realized a couple of things. One, that Odell Beckham matchup, that kind of made his uh, free agency, and that's what he pretty much is getting paid off of, that and his performance against Dez Bryant last year. Thing is, something happened this year that was figured. It was basically kind of like figuring out that boxer that everybody thinks can never be beat because he always takes everybody out quickly. One of the things that, and he doesn't want to admit this, is why partially he's been so good and why he had good games against those two guys, that he's a trash talker. He's a psychological trash talker because he likes to do things to get in your head. Now, um, he says he doesn't talk, but you can see him on the field talking. He claims it's only when somebody else initiates it first. That may be true, but he kind of walks people into it because of his play. He's a physical corner, which is nothing wrong with that. Physical corners are good. Nice to see people play physical and try to knock people off their routes and things like that. My thing is, he does a lot of things that are unnecessary. In particular, the hands to the face. He's always complaining to referees about, why are you saying that I didn't do anything. Go back to that Giants game. They even showed it in slow motion a couple of times. As soon as Odell Beckham got off the ball in that first half, where did his hands go? Directly up into the face mask. Now, the referees don't always see that, but you're not supposed to do that. Hands to the face is illegal. Um, but he likes to get his hands high and try to like give off the air of it's just interdental contact. But reality is, we all know he knows what he's doing. Because what receiver who wants somebody to smack you in the face while you're trying to run forward? That shit hurts. That shit's annoying. It's disorientating. Like, you know how people will, like, when you were a kid, you would smush people in the face. You didn't like that shit. Nobody liked that shit. Hands to the face annoys everybody. That's just something that's bad. And of course, it's bothersome on the football field. And for receivers, yeah, nah. That's what are you doing? So he already gets them. He goads them into saying shit to him. That gives him the leeway to retaliate. And now, okay, I got you upset. So now I'm going to keep twisting you. I'm going to keep egging you. I'm going to keep. That's the type of person he is. He's that guy who does something that he knows is going to be annoying, but plays off like he didn't mean to. But when you say something, then he's like, "Oh, what's the matter? You know, you upset? Come on, stop acting like a baby." He's that person who knows that he's going out of his way to be a dick, but tries to pretend he's not. And then once you get upset, he calls you out and tries to make you seem like you're wrong for being upset at him being a dick. That's his whole psychological game. Problem is, somewhere around closing in on midseason, maybe a little earlier, you started to notice a shift in the way people played him. And this is especially true once he started committing himself more to playing against people's best wide receivers. I think a lot of people realize that's what he's doing. So they stopped letting it get to them enough because they knew he wants this. This is what he needs. This is what gets him going. And this is what puts him in a position to dominate you because you're off your game mentally. You're too busy thinking about him and how he's fucking with you, and you're not playing your game. Well, Des Bryant caught. I mean, Odell Beckham caught on to that late in that first Giants game, and you realize, yo, he's kind of beaten Josh Norman. He beat him for a couple of good plays, and then you started seeing the progression between all receivers, where this guy would give up more big plays. He wasn't able to keep up with receivers on crossing routes in particular. So if they threw their best receiver on the crossing route, he was trailing behind. Um, you know, big receivers were being more physical, not letting him initiate or at least letting him carry the physicality or dominating it. He'd smack them, they'd smack back. And that caused him to get off his game, you notice. He started getting like a lot of personal fouls and doing a lot of stupid shit in retaliation. He get beat one play, like you again, the last Giants game. Odell Beckham beat him, got out of bounds, turned to him, said something. Next immediate play when Odell Beckham got the ball, he smacked him out of bounds, way out of bounds. Unnecessary. He didn't need to push him. Guy was out of bounds about 2-3 yards. Play was over. Why the fuck you pushing him? He gets a personal foul that gives him extra yardage. Um, in the second personal foul that he got was unnecessary because, again, you get beat, you show your frustration, now you cause your team yards. And he started doing that towards the later half and end of the season where he would be caught, hands to the face would be called a lot. Um, you know, refs had to talk to him before the game, during the game, things like that. He's sitting there crying, like, what are you doing? Why are you saying I'm doing something? What he was doing to the other receivers, it was being done to him, and he didn't react very well to it. So he would slip. He would give up some big plays. Not saying that he was always just destroyed, but they were getting off on him. They were making big plays. It started to unravel. And now I feel like going into next year, that's going to be a bigger theme. So now we're going to see what's his counter. Is he going to grow up and mature and stop reacting? The things that he was able to do to people, like Odell Beckham is known as one of the biggest crybabies in the world. Yet he had that man crying all first half. That says something. So he's going to have to figure something out because that shit ain't working the way it used to. One, his whole mental dominance thing or whatever he thought he had, I don't think he has that anymore. Two, they're paying you to be a shutdown corner, the shutdown corner that you told everybody that you are. So you playing zone coverage ain't gonna work. So you're gonna have to make your adjustment and improve yourself because you're gonna have to go through this again this season. That's what Josh Norman is going to have to do. Um, so we have to see what his adjustments are. Again, I didn't think he had a bad season, but at the same time, was he looking like the $50 million guaranteed guy that we signed? Nah, he looked like just a very solid corner. Um, but worth 75 million? Yeah, you can get that out of some lesser people for lesser money. Um, but this is just the first year, and it's a new team. He has to adjust to defense, things like that. And who knows what's going to happen next year? Maybe he's going to get a coordinator in because Joe Barry has been on shaky ground. Maybe they bring in a coordinator who prefers playing zone coverage. They'll put him back in his natural habitat, and he doesn't have to worry about bouncing around, and he can look as good as he looked before he came to DC again. and people will throw the accolades on him by heaps and bounds. I mean, again, he's not a bad corner. He's pretty good, solid, but I didn't see $50 million guaranteed worth of performance out there. Um, so yeah, but we'll see. It's a process. We will definitely see. Um, just one of the many issues heading into 2017 for the Washington Redskins in this offseason. Anyway, as always, you guys hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Blak Magus, and I'm out. Deuces.